What's panna cotta and how do you make it? Well, I'm going to show you. Panna cotta means cooked cream, and it's very simple and it's a beautiful, elegant dessert. Here's how you make it. You take 1 cup of cream and you put it into a saucepan. And then you measure out 2 more cups because you need 3 cups of cream to make panna cotta. It's straight cream. Just a newsflash, this size is 2 cups. So there we are, now it's ready. Then I am going to bloom the gelatin. I'm going to sprinkle this gelatin on the surface of the milk and I'm going to let it sit, the cream, and I'm going to let it sit for around 5 minutes. So here we go. So then I'm just going to sprinkle it, and this, they don't tell you this in any recipe book, but I learned this. You want to do a very light layer, and then you want to turn your saucepan like this. See how it makes like a meniscus on top there? And you want to try and get it evenly across the surface. My warning is, do not dump it into the cream. You will have a ball of melted gelatin. You don't want that. You are now going to turn on sort of low, medium-low heat underneath it. The purpose of this is you are melting the gelatin, which has been rehydrated by the cream, into the cream because you don't want lipid, globs of gelatin floating in panna cotta. It's not nice. So take your time and let it melt so that when you stir it, you see no globules of gelatin. That's the key. So like right now, it's melting around the edges. I guess it takes about 5 minutes to melt. See how it's like a skin? You can kind of gently move it off the sides so that it's, but don't be rough with it because you don't want clumps. Keep it nice and thin, the layer. A good tip for making any cream, including custard cream for ice cream and stuff, you want to make sure it's not blazing hot under here. This is pretty hot, so I'm going to turn it down a tiny bit while we're melting the gelatin. You don't want it to boil because it makes such a mess, you can't even believe it. I'm now whisking because the gelatin has melted enough that I can whisk it. I can still clearly see it, but we're getting close. I'm looking for gelatin by tipping it a little bit and kind of looking for globules. You don't want to see any things like that. That's a globule. This is now ready for the rest of the ingredients. In fact, it's boiling, but panna cotta means cooked cream. So I want to take that off. So then you want to add the other 2 cups of cream to this hot cream. Put that back on your heat. You're going to put in 3/4 cup of organic sugar. So you don't have to use bleached sugar. In fact, I wouldn't use Domino white sugar. A, it's made by slaves, and B, it's bad for you. You want to gently stir this in. And what you're doing now is you're melting the sugar because you've already melted the gelatin. The magic King Arthur Flour Vanilla Plus, which contains flecks of vanilla seed. My friend Bang worked in a restaurant and he served a vanilla flecked panna cotta, and the lady said, "Excuse me, there's dirt in my panna cotta." And he said, "It's fresh vanilla." And she looked at him blankly and she goes, "There's dirt in my panna cotta." So we're going to put a little dirt in the panna cotta. You can also slice open a vanilla bean and scrape the seeds in if you feel so inclined. I'm going to wait for the sugar to be melted. And the way I do that is I kind of feel on the bottom. Do I feel any sugar here? The other thing I'm going to look for is I'm going to pick up the pot and I'm going to look at it sideways. Do I see steam rising from the pot? Not yet. What I'm looking for is the first tendrils of steam. Ooh, then it's done. I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe? When your sugar has melted, your panna cotta is essentially ready. What you're going to do is turn the heat off, and you're going to leave it to sort of sit in its own personality for a while until it comes down in temperature a little bit. Word to the wise, don't try and pour it into the little containers from the saucepan or saucepan. It's very difficult. I like to pour it in a spouted thing. Pour it into these containers. You don't have to strain it, it just makes it extra safe in case you have globules. I'm using ramekins. We're going to take them out of the ramekins and serve them without the container. But I wanted to show you an optional container. I think these are so cute. These are these little weck jars. They just look really sweet. That's going to be too high. That's not going to set, so I'm going to make it a little bit lower. I use this tray because taking these one at a time to the fridge is like a real pain in the ass. So here you go. Leave them uncovered until they're not just room temperature, but a little bit chilled, and then gently sort of drape some cellophane over the top. So those should be in the fridge for at least 3.5 hours to 4 hours. Too long, and it's really pâte au crème. Too short, and it's liquid. So 3.5 hours minimum. Something magical is going to occur. Okay, so you can either serve it in the thing you made it in, which is perfectly acceptable, or you can decant it. I'm gonna decant one for you. So I'm gonna take one of these, and here's a little trick. You get a little basin of warm water, and you put your panna cotta in that for a few seconds. Then you take a knife like this, you run it around the edges of your panna cotta, and you tip it out on the plate. You see how it's flecked with vanilla? I'm going to take a tiny spoonful of lemon curd because it's quite intense, and I'm just going to drop it on top like that. Cover any mistakes you might have made decanting it. Panna cotta should quite aggressively move when you tap it, and in the dish it should jiggle, okay? Panna cotta, why nada? There's dirt in my panna cotta.